Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video where today I'm going to share with you how much I paid for my 2005 Lamborghini Gallardo. But I'm going to go down into detail, unlike so many videos out there that drove me crazy when I was going through this process this last month and a half. And I'm going to share with you the down payment. I'm going to share with you the actual payments. Also, I'm going to share with you the very different kind of financing I chose to use and why. But first, we got to roll that intro. So I paid $95,000 for my 2005 Lamborghini Gallardo with 22,000 miles on it, and it was and is the most pristine condition Gallardo that I've ever seen. And whenever you go underneath one of these overpasses, you have to stomp on the gas. That's the rule, because it sounds so good. And I put $20,000 down, and I leased the car for 60 months. Now, before you have a heart attack and think that I'm a complete idiot, here's the deal. This is not a normal lease. This is an open-ended lease through Premier Financial. Now, I looked into and applied for financing with Woodside Credit, which does long-term loans, and they flat out turned me down because they didn't like how I use my credit and the financing that I've done, even though I've got a mid 700s FICO score and really good credit and lots of assets. They didn't even want to hear it. They didn't want to talk about it. So I couldn't understand that one, and it definitely irritated me, and it was kind of strange how rapidly they just said no. But that was okay. At the moment it bothered me, but afterwards I kind of figured that's just who they are. It's the third time in my life that they've rejected me, regardless of being in good financial shape. The other company I went to was Amazon Leasing, because I love their website, and you can do all the calculations, and they've got some really great deals. The thing is they wanted me to sell my Hellcat, and I wasn't going to sell my Hellcat. And they do full-on background checks. They don't just check your credit, they do background checks. Now, mind you, I am it's like spotless clean. I passed the CCW background checks to be able to carry in California and in Orange County, which you've got to know that is very hard to do. And they turned me down because something showed a tax lien or something like that 10, 11 years ago under my name, which I showed them didn't exist. Nonetheless, it caused them concern, and it made them want to question everything and want a 4-inch thick stack of documents to get qualified. When I said that, Premier, they're good, they got my taxes and they approved me, they said, well, you should go to them then. So I felt like that was a bit dismissive. Just telling you the truth, how it went. I've got the emails. It's kind of shocking. So they're probably used to dealing with extremely wealthy people, so I come along and they don't want anything to do with me. And then I went to Navy Federal Credit Union because I'm ex-military, and they gave me a great interest rate on a 72-month purchase of around 5%, and a 5% interest rate on a older exotic is really good because they don't expect the car to last as long as the loan's going to be there, so the rate has to be a little bit higher. So that's a really good rate for a used car, especially this type of car and this high of a loan. So that was still a very good loan and a decent payment. And in the end, it came down to making way more sense for me to go through Premier Financial under their open-ended lease for incredibly strategic reasons. One, I have no intentions on keeping this car a very long time, and two, I don't like paying taxes I don't have to pay. And on a purchase, you're going to have to write a check or take it out of your down payment for where I live, 7.75% of the purchase price. Let's just call it, for easy math, almost $8,000 in taxes that I will never see again. And if I sell this car in a year or sell it in 5 years, I still amount that $8,000. The way I look at it is I'd much rather pay the taxes on the time that I own the car. So in my $1,233 payment, $80 of that is taxes, meaning I'm basically in much better shape than I would be had I paid the taxes, because my principal on my lease payoff is about $4,000 less after the costs I incurred to get the lease. So that's tremendous. So if you look at the mathematics, basically what it comes down to is if I were to buy this car on a simple interest loan at around 5% with $20,000 down, I'm going to owe about $4,000 more on the car, but I am going to pay down about $10,000 in principal on this car the first year, which is great and definitely better than a lease. But on the lease, I'm going to pay about $6,800 off on the principal, and I can buy out the car at any point. But I save $4,000 in taxes and $1,400 in a year, basically $119 a month in car payments, effectively sticking me in a position where I'm $12,000 versus $10,000 ahead, so $2,000 to the positive doing it this way. The way this lease works is if I were to keep the car for the entire 60 months, I would owe them $30,000 to buy the car, and I would have to buy the car. You don't return a car on an open-ended lease. So for all intent and purposes, this is no different than any other purchase, except there's a balloon payment at the end that I would have to pay. The thing is this car is already depreciated pretty much as it's going to ever depreciate. And there's a lot of speculation that people believe that the Gallardo, because there were 14,000 made and so many have been destroyed and just basically gone, totaled, no longer around, or just in really bad shape, that this car is going to start seeing some modest appreciation over the next few years, meaning I could literally be in a positive situation based on what I purchased the car for and what I could sell it for. So even if I were to keep the car the entire 60 months, at the end of this thing, with all the money I've saved on just from the payments alone, I'm looking at, maybe there's a $12,000 difference at the end if I was to keep it. Then I'd put towards the $30,000. Thing is, I could sell the car for $95,000, or let's say $90,000, or even $100,000, and pay off that $30,000 and move on with my life. So I love the idea of this open-ended lease. It's my car for all intent and purposes, and some of you are going to say, oh, you're renting it, why didn't you pay cash? Because I love using the bank's money. My cash right now is making me so much ridiculous money in the market that I would be stupid to pull that money out of the market right now and put it on a car. So I limited it to $20,000 to get this thing, and I'm clean moving forward with the rest of my money out there making me money. Real important point, folks. If anybody thinks, hey man, you should pay cash for the car, if you're not already retired and have landed at your finish line and now it's time to spend the money that you've saved your whole life, then you should be making your money go out and work for you. Well, every time I send a George Washington out into the world, he comes back with a few of his friends. That continuously happens, and this year it's happening more than ever. And once the market turns and shifts, then I will certainly adjust that strategy. But you've got to know that cash money in the bank, the American dollar, does not increase in value. It only decreases in value, and especially with all the huge deficit and printing of cash that's taking place, this means that if you have $1 in the bank, that dollar is going to be worth less money every single year you let it sit there, earning literally no interest or incredibly low interest. So you might as well go out and put it to work for you in the stock market, in investments, in real estate, and a lot of other things, and borrow the bank's money. Let them contribute to your car love like I do. Again, this is a business expense to me, so the lease is being paid by my corporation, OC Motivator Inc. And at the end of the day, I'm writing off a whole bunch of this car and a whole bunch of these expenses tied to this channel. So I highly recommend that you go to Premier Financial and explore them as an option if you're thinking about getting a exotic car, or any car for that matter. And I'll put a gentleman named Juan, he's the representative for the Western United States apparently, that he can take care of you. And I'll put his information in the description below. And I'm telling you, the customer service was incredible. He treated me with respect the entire time. He took my 9,000 phone calls while I was trying to understand this entire process. And even today, I opened the mail and got a very nice handwritten note. Who does that anymore, folks? I mean, this is cool. This is something I've never received from another lender that I've worked with in the past. Pretty awesome, and I'm very happy with them. I do appreciate Navy Federal Credit Union for offering me a tremendously good loan, but I don't plan on keeping this thing long enough to benefit from the great interest rate and the great financing that they offered me. So I recommend Premier. Check them out. It's not sponsored by Premier in any way, shape, or form. I'm just grateful and appreciative that they let me go through this process to understand how this worked, and I hope this helps you all. With that said, folks, hope this was informative. Please like, please subscribe, stay motivated, stay positive, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.